Hey, so I'm making this video to show a fix slash starter ignition bypass switch that I implemented in my 2007 Ford Ranger. I got this idea off a couple YouTube videos, thought I'd make one too to kind of expand upon the ideas. So to describe the problem quickly, basically I inherited this truck from a family member, and it seemed to be running fine, but every now and then it would have an issue where it wouldn't start. And I unfortunately learned this on the road one day when I accidentally stalled, and then I went to start it, and this happened, right? All the power comes on, the lights, the radio, everything works, but just the starter won't ignite, and it won't start the engine. So you're sitting here turning the key, and there's nothing. So it's a matter of if I could get power to the starter, then the car would work. And at first, I thought it was the starter that was bad in the car. I thought that was faulty, so I replaced that. Turned out that wasn't the issue, it wasn't the starter. And I think that this issue might happen in other Ford Rangers from what I've seen online, and this seems to be the most simple solution that there is that you can fix it with. And so basically what I've deduced is that there's a problem in between when you turn the key and the wires that go to the starter that deliver power to it. There's got to be something faulty in there. And it would be like the car would start, some of the time, sometimes it wouldn't. Just completely unreliable. You couldn't take it anywhere because if you wanted to get it started, there's probably a good chance you'd have to bump start it. You have to push it down the road to get it started. So at least that showed that the car works once it's running, so it's just an issue of power to the starter, as I said. So what do is we completely bypass the ignition because this isn't working. I don't want to pay someone else to fix it. I've already paid mechanics to try to figure it out, and I wasted a bunch of money for basically no answer. And so this is the solution that we have, which I just implemented it yesterday, and see, there's a switch here that I've put in, but it's kind of dinky, so I'm gonna switch it out. So right now we just have two wires basically. But let me explain this. So this wire here that's uncovered, that goes straight to the starter. That's the same. That wire goes onto the terminal where the ignition terminal is on the starter, if that makes sense. The wire that comes from your ignition goes to the terminal. This wire goes to that same one. And then this right here is a positive wire. It just goes to the positive terminal on the battery. So what you have to do is, let me hold this camera. Okay, you can kind of see it here. So what I have to do to make this work is I have to turn the ignition on the car like I'm trying to start it. This only works if you turn it as if you're attempting to start it. And you touch the wires. And look, car started right up. I haven't had any issues with this since implementing it. I just have to attach everything to that screw, which I know this is a little janky at the moment, but the concept is here. The concept is what's important. And so let's take a look at the hood to see. I just stick this in here to keep it safe. Again, sketchy, I know. I'll turn it off. No fear of turning it off anymore because it always works. So we have these two wires. I just ran them through the door. Again, I saw this on another YouTube video. And then here we have it. So there's a positive one. I just wired it straight inside my positive terminal. I had it on this screw before, but it wasn't getting a good enough connection, so I really had to put it in there. And then the other wire is going to the starter, which you can see it down there. So see the one, there's two copper ones, and there's one that looks silver. It's the silver one. That's the one that you want to connect the positive wire to. That's the one that needs power to activate the starter as a whole. So yeah, it's basically that simple. There's just two wires, and you connect them, and it starts up the car. And it's still safe because you need to use the key and the ignition at the same time to make it work. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this fix just because this truck has been so annoying for basically the past 6 months. No one can figure out what's wrong with it. And again, it's something in the wiring up here where the ignition comes out and it's not giving power to the starter. So yeah, if you're having these issues, I don't know, people told me it would be the key, like I needed to buy a new key, I needed to replace my ignition, but this seems to have solved it, and it only cost Well, I had to try it a couple times because I'm not that good at cars, but it cost me about $50 in total, which I'd say is cheaper than the other options. And from what I hear on other people who have done this fix can last a long time, so it's kind of a permanent solution. So I'm excited. I hope that this video was helpful for anyone else looking at the same issue, and feel free to leave a comment, and I'm happy to explain anything that anyone has any questions with.